The QPR podcast is sponsored by Florally Yours. Based outside Harrow-on-the-Hill train station and run by Kerry, a QPR fan, they can supply everything you need in the way of fresh flowers and plants for every occasion.
QPR, QPR, Six Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Open All Ours, the QPR podcast. And I'm Paul Finney and I'm hosting, and I'm going to look to my little sidekick on the right here.
Hello, how you doing?
And he's going to save me regularly because I'm going to make a complete arse of myself, like I just did, but you're not here to see what I just did. That was on the left, I mean, sorry.
No worries. How you doing?
Intro there.
Recovered from Friday?
Yes, Friday, yes. No. Ian McCullough is here. You're very much sober since the last appearance in the podcast, I have to say so. And you've moved back from Australia since the last podcast.
I have.
And you've come back for this season, have you?
I've come back for Premier League football, and I left 10 years ago when we were a mid-table struggling championship team, and I've returned, and we are a mid-table struggling championship team.
Consistency, in football, that's a very hard thing to find. But are you enjoying your time back?
I am.
Good. And we have an ex-QPR player who was on a wee while ago, but I brought him back because I thought you were good. And that's unusual for our guests. Bradley Allen.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Talk the hours, of course. Looking forward to the chat this evening.
And you went on Friday as well?
I did, unfortunately, yes. Yes. That was quite challenging.
Right, let's start with Friday then, for Jesus' sake. I know there was games before that. I'll just go run past them quickly. They were crap. Right, Friday.
It was, like Bradley was saying, it was a challenge. I mean, I was a bit hungover because it was New Year's Day, and it was just watching it was making me feel worse. It was just, there was no shots on target. To be fair, I didn't think Hull were amazing themselves. I didn't think there was much in it until the end. I just think it makes a big difference when Charlie Austin's playing. A few times Poulter got the ball, and I know he scored, and I don't want to have a go at him. He scored 2 games in a row now, but a couple of times he got the ball in the box in the first half. He just couldn't really fix his feet in time to test the keeper, and he doesn't really make the same runs as Charlie Austin either. So when you haven't got that outlet, I think it makes a huge difference to the way we play. And
I suppose in his defence, he would say he wasn't brought in to beat Charlie Austin, I guess.
No.
Great header, though.
Yeah, great header, yeah.
Bradley, from a professional point of view, as a striker, how did you see Poulter on Friday?
I think there has to be a bit of an understanding here of a player that's played so little football. I see him early season in the League Cup fixture in which he scored at Yeovil. And from my experience coming into a team where you've not had much match fitness, it's very difficult when the burden of responsibility is on your shoulders. Rangers are playing one striker, the guy's not fully fit, he's not in tune with the Championship. It's difficult for him, and I think is that knowledge there amongst the supporters as to the challenge that he faces when he's coming into the side. Having said that, we have had other strikers going back through the years who have been in a similar position. And
is he a lone striker though? That's what I keep asking myself.
I think he would be better to play in a 4-4-2 with someone alongside him, and that was the thing that maybe during the course of the game that I didn't see being changed or happening. But then again, from the manager's perspective, he has so few options, especially with Charlie being out injured. That's very difficult for him to cope with that, because there's so few other supporting players that are scoring goals for QPR at the moment. So as a result, I think I'm not unfair in saying that I just can't see us challenging for the playoffs, because we've just not got enough goals within the squad.
Some people actually worried we could actually leave the league the other way. Which I personally can't see. I mean, I don't think there's any chance of relegation, but
no, there'd be 3 worse teams in QPR this season. It's a very average league, but I think all you're always seeing is that those in the current top 6 positions just have a better balance and a slightly better depth in squad to what QPR do currently, and that's why we'll probably miss out this time around.
And a better mindset.
I just hope they don't, in January or in this month, I hope they don't panic buy in the hope that it will
Panic buy?
No, and get,
That'd be ridiculous.
Get them into the playoffs and instead think, right, we're going to finish mid-table this season, but if we are going to get anyone, then think about a bit longer term.
So you're a journalist, Ian, and from that point of view, I read on Twitter a lot, and I cause a lot of arguments yourself on Twitter, but I mean, a lot of fans are blaming fellow fans for where we are, but I'm not saying that. Do you think the fans are too demanding, their expectations are too high, or do you think it's because the club are actually pretty much in chaos and no one really knows who's leading it?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
I do think that some of the stuff that I hear at games is just ludicrous.
Yeah,
you know, the claims that people are making, and walking out and hearing like, well, what do you expect from our Hasselbank team? You know, we should never got rid of Warnock, and well,
he's only had a few games.
Short-termism has been the blight of this club for 15 years.
But doesn't that come from upstairs, downstairs?
Yeah, but I think this all goes back, this goes back pre-Fernandez era. This goes back to when Palladini come in and essentially ripped the soul out of the club, and people who worked for the club were bombed out. CEOs were you know, they got rid of the CEO, Mark Devlin, who's an excellent CEO. The coaching staff was reduced, the academy staff was scrapped, the scouting team was gone, and when the money came in under Fernandez, there was a football club there that had basically no infrastructure. And you look at clubs like Palace, Southampton, who've been on their knees essentially and going out of business, but they still had an infrastructure there, which meant when money did come in, they were able to kind of build up and get to where they were. We have no infrastructure, and what's being put in place now by Les is things that should have happened 7-8 years ago.
And what are they?
And they're not going to see any fruition from those until sort of 3-4 years' time. But people are, you know, bringing out petitions to get rid of Ferdinand because we're not in the top 6.
But what's he putting in place that we know of that's going to put us right in a few years then?
I think slowly what they're doing at the moment seems to be heading in the right direction. I mean, I'm not privy to...
No, I'm not. It's not a trick question. I'm just wondering why you say that, because...
Sorry, what's the question again?
Like, what's he doing in your eyes that you can see coming to fruition in a couple of years' time? That's actually the buds of hope are going to grow from.
Well, at least someone's taking an interest in, you know, the youth system, and things that should have been done before that have been neglected are slowly being back in play. Bradley will have a better idea than I would. I don't understand why they got rid of Steve Gallen. That's another issue altogether. But again.
Well, that seems to be a Les decision.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Les interviewed on the club website the other week, and he said, when I'm asked about it, that they were going to try and find something for him. But
they haven't got rid of him.
The manager comes in and wants to bring his own staff in, and then the role he previously held has been filled by someone else. So it's kind of
that's cool. I've got no problem with that. I mean, I'm not going to make it a secret. Everyone knows that I know Steve and all that sort of thing, so I'm not going to lie. And I haven't spoke to Steve about this. In fact, I speak to Steve about 3 times every 10 years because Steve's so committed to QPR. He doesn't talk to people because that's the way he is. But what I will say is that from what I've heard, being on garden leave isn't clever. You either put the person to one side and sneak him out the back door after 18 years. I don't think it's respectful. I don't know why they're doing it. I wish they hadn't done it. That's my personal
Is that the case?
opinion.
I didn't realise that was...
Yeah, garden leave, which is I don't think is respectful. But in the 18 years that he's been there, he's had an awful lot to deal with. And Steve is Mr. QPR. I mean,
very much so.
You speak to him, and his passion for the club is unreal. But I mean, I'm not using that as a stick to beat Les because I don't know who's made that decision. I mean, I'm told it's Les Ferdinand. I don't know. I'm only going by what you see in message boards and what you hear.
But I think the thing with Les as well, the players they have brought in have been reasonable, and they haven't gone out on the days of big money and big contracts. Seems to be kind of hopefully a thing of the past. That's what you're saying. So you can only take it at face value, but
absolutely.
But you think Les, if he had made that decision, he's probably guided by Hasselbank because he's brought in 2 first-team coaches that he wants to work under.
Yeah, but that's the point of making though. That's fine. To get rid of someone is fine. Don't put them on garden leave.
No, I agree with you.
That's just wrong, in my opinion. I'm not saying that if they don't want to keep them, they don't want to keep them. That's fine. Garden leave, I don't think is respectful. But that's a personal opinion, and that's not because I know Steve. I generally don't think it's a good idea. As a professional, what does garden leave actually mean, Bradley?
Until if there's a contract dispute, until that's resolved, then Steve will be continue to be paid by the club.
Yeah.
And then once that situation and a line has been drawn under it, then obviously both parties that can then move on in. I think as you say, I think there's been a changing of the goalpost, hasn't there, from going along the lines or a decision where promotion from within, invested in the youth, building a new training ground, appeared to be the direction last summer. All of a sudden, somebody somewhere has said, well, no, we want to go back up again.
Yeah,
and then Neil Warnock then was briefly appointed. Well, was he going to be the guy to do that for 7 months? That changed. And now Jimmy Floyd has come in. I think we've got to totally disregard the Chelsea links. Forget that.
Yeah, totally.
And I think actually what maybe short-term needs to happen is support Jimmy with recruitment by some hungrier players from lower league, because there are still a few gems out there that want to come into the club, and where QPR currently are, develop a under 25 younger, healthier team, which he can be the one to build and develop over the next couple of years. I think some clubs that have dropped out of the Premier League have gone in that direction, having took the hit financially, and that's what QPR need to do.
Are we 10 years behind?
They will not throw money at it, I don't think, in January.
No.
I think now they've probably looked at the points differentiation. QPR are not going to go back up. So now they've got to look at, well, who do we now bring into the club to support the manager if he's going to be the guy that we're going to help in the next 18 months to 2 years.
That's true. I mean, Dear Saxon had huge Chelsea links. He did all right.
But that,
just saying.
The fans, they a lot of fans seem to agree that we need a long-term strategy, but then equally, a lot of fans are they just get disgruntled and unsettled very quickly with how the team is. But
there's probably a bit of confusion there because they've tasted the Premier League, and QPR had a lot of money, an awful lot of money. And some probably are of the opinion, well, there is still that money in the club and we can still pay.
It's gone.
Well, no, I don't think it is anymore. I think those days are gone. So they need to come off it and understand where we now are as a football club.
But then do you also think as well, Brad and Chris, that this whole new financial package is a massive carrot for the QPR board to kind of solve everything they've done wrong in one season by actually going for it, going up this time, and maybe not spending the money as stupidly as we did last time?
No, but I think the reason for that, I mean, it's a kind of this baffles me. Like when Gary Monk was sacked by Swansea, because but that money's going to be there next year. It's going to be there the year after.
Good point.
And it's going to be the year after that.
Yeah,
so this whole panic
point
about it's there for another 4 years, and then one after that it will go up again. So this whole.
So why do we change?
It's not just
mindset.
QPR, every single
doing it.
All the fans seem to be, they seem to be bothered when they go to games. They're like, oh, the big players aren't performing, like Sandro, Leroy Fer. But you can't just get rid of those players who's got contracts. They will go eventually, and then maybe in like 2 or 3 years, like Bradley was saying, you'll have an under-25 teams, and it'll be packed full of players that they've been recruiting over the last year or so.
Well, Fer looks like he's gone on strike, to me, to be honest with you.
I think you've been a bit harsh on him. He's not a striker. He's been played out of position.
No, but what I mean, he doesn't look happy. He's going through the motions.
Yeah, but the crowd are on his back. He's been played out of position. I mean, I don't get this whole players not trying.
Okay.
Every player goes out and tries. He doesn't always come off, but
Basingwa?
Well, yeah, there are the odd exceptions, but I wouldn't say Fer's not trying.
Okay.
But, I mean, that game against Huddersfield, was it Huddersfield?
1-1.
The game we had no strikers, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the one dropping deep and kicking the ball and spraying it wide where he could. So the good moves he were getting, the ball out wide to Phillips was coming from him. But he was.
So what is the problem then? If it's not players and it's not the club chasing the financial carrot, then what has effectively gone wrong at QPR? Or are we wrong to presume we're in a crisis when maybe we should be mid-table anyway? I mean, why is the feeling of crisis at QPR?
They haven't really quite got the right balance yet in the squad, and I think that's understandable because we've just gone down. So the squad's a mixture of players who they've brought in over the summer, who they've brought in with a long-term vision in mind, and then a few players from last season that really they probably want to get rid of but didn't get enough money for, or maybe were half thinking maybe we'll go back up. So I think the squad will sort itself out, and maybe next year, if they get it right in the summer, it could be like a year where they push on.
Ian?
I agree, yeah. I think the Cherries and the Wongos are good signings. There are some good signs there. I just think they weren't expecting Austin, Sandra to be there. And the start of the season, my worry was we had too many similar players. Good players, but similar players, and the team was kind of lopsided. But, I mean, Grant Hall's been outstanding this year. He's kind of a signing we made in the summer, and everyone went, who is he? And
he's senator, yeah.
He was supposedly not good enough to play for Birmingham and various other championship clubs, but he's
a good player.
He's arguably been our best player this year.
But I think that links nicely to the point that I made about there are players there. I think if your recruitment's good, you've got good scouts watching games across all levels. I think that's been seen at the top level this season with the success stories, and if that can be put in place. I know there's a few that have been out on loan as well at lower league clubs. I think potentially Furlong will prove to come back and be a part of the side in defence as well at full-back. You know, that was a big ask for a young player last season to go in, play against Sanchez of Arsenal in a crucial Premier League game when he's got so little first-team experience. That was a really big call for that young kid to sort of have to face that. And what you actually need, you just need to go through a period of transition. And it needs real patience amongst the supporters. And unfortunately, that's sometimes wears thin when you have inconsistent results.
But then that's modern football. The other thing I would say, it's not a criticism, it's kind of just me thinking out loud, is the young lad Cox, we play him in the Premiership, but he doesn't get a game in the Championship, and the same with young Furs.
Yeah.
You know, that to me, when the whole thing was restructure, youth, development, you're like, well, Michael Harriman loaned out to Wickham.
Different managers.
Yeah, but at the same time, Cox didn't really pull up any trees.
But I think
when
the
he
difference
played,
is, you know, I'm a big advocate of putting young players in, but they have to go into a team that's settled, that's playing with confidence, and you have senior players around them that can guide them through. Some of them young boys that were thrust in when Chris Ramsey was in charge, probably the right move, but they were going into a side that were fighting for relegation.
No, okay.
And you get a position as well. You can send the player back 3 or 4 years by putting him in too early and getting crucified by the crowd and
or putting Sean Phillips ahead of them.
Yeah, things like that.
So basically, what we're saying is there is hope, but we need to start seeing some strong leadership at Rangers to try and readdress the balance of
I think with Rangers, we've been either trying to go up or stay up every year since 1996. We haven't had a year where everyone just went, you know what, I'm quite happy finishing mid-table and just kind of build again.
Was that season when Stuart Wardley scored them goals? We finished about 10th or something.
We got it from Russian and Diamonds. That was
he was a
scored
removal
about
man.
10 goals from midfield.
Yeah.
I think you look back every season, I can't off the top of my head think of a season where we just went, I'm just happy to finish. We are
bloody hell, that's a good point.
Well, staving off relegation or trying to push for promotion. And
I'm bringing you back on again.
I like just the time just to go. But I think at the start of the season, Rangers fans I know are all quite happy to go, let's kind of have a year of. And then when the club say we're going to push for promotion, the whole rhetoric changes and then expectation changes, and then before you know it.
But they've got to be patient with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, I do agree. I mean, to me, and we keep saying it, the Chelsea thing is, and I've noticed as well, people singing more and more, we hate Chelsea at games. I mean, that's no coincidence. It's something to do with them not waving apparently against Huddersfield or something. But got to give them time. The board have got, eventually it's down to the board. The board will be the ones that pull the trigger or not. But we can't keep sacking managers and we can't keep reloading.
You have to give him time.
In January.
He's barely started, barely got his feet under the table. And I think
he's young and ambitious as well.
And he's coming to the busiest time of the season as well.
He did his apprenticeship at Burton. Having said that, he did inherit a fairly decent squad, settled squad from Gary Rowett, who'd done a good job before him. But he knows players at that level. He's got a lot of contacts. He might be able to, in this transfer window, get some loan players in from Premier League clubs for young players to come in and maybe in the second half of the campaign that make a little bit of difference. And then you can further look at that perhaps come the summer. You can then see what those contract situations are and then maybe perhaps take a punt on one or two of those guys, which might really help the club moving forward next season.
But isn't everyone looking for that Charlie Austin loan move, young hungry striker, the Harry Kane?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of, like Serge Gnabry at Arsenal. He's come back from West Brom. They're going to send him to the Championship. There'll be a lot of clubs after him. But we've proved in the past that players have done well for us. For like Andros Townsend, when he came on loan, he did really well
back
for
for
us.
him?
I don't think he'd drop down into the Championship because he wants to get into the Euros squad. So he'll probably go somewhere in the Premier League. But I think more players
declare himself Northern Irish and you get there anyway.
more signings like Grant Hall would be great. I think Chris Ramsey should give him credit for that, because he brought him into the side. And actually against Hull, I thought he was kind of maturing, because he's coming forward and looking to start attacks even with the ball when nothing was happening, playing through balls.
I think he'll get Player of the Year, actually.
I think as well, like with Perch getting injured, he was building up a nice partnership with Anura at the back.
Anua's not a right back, though.
He's not a right back, we all know that, but there isn't. I mean, do you throw Furlong in now playing as a right back?
I'd play Henry there.
Yeah.
He's looking kind of... I did enjoy...
But he's not going to add to your attacking dimension from the fullback.
That was bizarre.
And that's a major problem for us. Our midfield is not the most mobile, is it? And we've got two fullbacks that don't like bombing forward.
Considering how many midfielders we got, that's a bit weird. And I was saying that I did enjoy the Messi style rule that he had against Huddersfield. Like, you're like, where's he going to pop up next? It's like, it was brilliant. It kept us guessing. So God knows what Huddersfield made of it, because we wouldn't know. I expect him to be a ball boy at one stage. But I mean, to me, as a fan, I think our problem sometimes is the heads are going down really low as well. I don't know if you noticed that, Bradley, against Don Howe, but I noticed when they scored that first goal, everyone's head hit the floor straight away. Yeah. And in the old QPR sides that you were part of, you'd have like people like Macca, you'd have the Phoenix, and that they're banging come on, let's do this,
Well, the season that I left, that was the season that they got relegated, wasn't it? 95, 96, and it was similar to that. The squad was a little bit similar to that. It didn't have huge experience. It was without key players that it had 2 or 3 years before, and it's tough, especially if you're a younger player and you lack the experience to be able to cope with that. You've got a crowd that want you to do well, but you're lacking a little bit of confidence. You're not consistent in your results, and as a result, you can just get a little bit bogged down, and it's tough to come through. And that's where you have key players in the dressing room.
What was wrong with that squad that went down that time? Because if I remember rightly, we brought in players like Lee Charles, didn't we? Gregory Goodridge. We were trying to find rough diamonds and do what we did for years with finding Sinclairs and so forth.
Well, we'd done it before that. I'd mentioned about, I think there are players there. We went and signed Darren Peacock, Andy Tilson, Rufus Brevitt, who all went
Derby away.
To be a success and a value to the club. And I think, that's where you need a good structure. Les needs good people around him that are reporting, that are watching, football down the pyramid, non-league, because there is personnel that are hungry and that will come in and they jump at a chance to come and play at a QPR.
And
they really would.
Big name.
We haven't had that for a long time. We've just gone to agents and signed players. We sign money. What could you have got? For what we spent on Fitz Hall over 5 years.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of money we paid for him and a lot of money we paid him, but there's that money could have been used to find 2 or 3 young, hungry players.
Do you know, I remember that you saying that about, you said it as well, I noticed your head nodded, that signing of Tilson, Peacock, Brevitt was brilliant, because that, I remember they made the debut at Derby away, I was there, and that was just amazing because...
Sorry to interrupt you, didn't Bobby Gould come in?
Yeah.
Bobby Gould kind of had like a month-long contract, then he went and found these rough diamonds from the lower leagues.
Brilliant.
Bobby Gould and Don Howe. God bless him. They were the two that sort of recruited those players, and that's how Wimbledon of old worked. Picking these rough diamonds. And I'm not saying that you're going to return to those days, because the dynamic is a lot different, but I still think that you can identify 1 or 2 like that.
So I'll start with you, Chris. If we finish 4th from bottom this season, would that be a total disaster, or is that a platform to build on next season?
Well, it'd be good to see progress. For the second half of the season. If we don't avoid relegation, obviously is the first thing. I think everyone agrees that we're not going to go up this season. It would be a minor miracle if we got into playoffs and then got promoted. So as long as we finish in the league still, I don't think it matters too much, and we show some progress.
I don't think we'll go down. I mean, we lost we lost to Ipswich in the last minute. They're in the top 5 or 6. We threw it away against Hull in the last minute, literally. We're not. It's not like we're getting spanked 4 or 5-0 every week. That's relegation forms. I mean, I've seen a lot worse Rangers sides go down from the division than the current one. But
Bradley?
No, QPR won't go down. They've got too much quality within the squad. But I do think if it's not to be this month, then certainly the summer There needs to be a real freshening up. I think the squad needs to be ripped up. I think the manager needs to be supported. I would say 5-6 players need to be brought in of a younger age, and let Jimmy work with them and have a good pre-season. Go out the cup early, start next season, and then hopefully you can get some points on the board and get off to a good start in the Championship next campaign.
Would you sell Austin if a team come in January?
I don't think got a choice.
Well, I mean, you either lose him in the summer. Either way, he probably won't go up. I mean, you have to, I suppose, consider what he wants to do as well. If the club's not right for him, then maybe you pay him that respect and keep him on. I don't know.
But I'm sure a club will come in for him.
One that he wants to join.
Yeah, and he'll have a clause in his contract. If you go down, I get the chance to leave. Desperate clubs.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Everton haven't come in for him. I was looking at them playing yesterday, and I thought he is the sort of player that would suit them down to the ground. I'm not working for Everton, by the way. I'm just saying that.
It'll maybe boil down to whether he wants to be a second choice striker. I mean, because if he goes to Everton and Spurs, he'll probably start on the bench.
Well, Spurs, yeah, but Everton, he hasn't got a lot in front of him. He could actually do well quite. He could do well though. He could go to Newcastle, who have risky going down. He could go to Villa, risky going down. Palace, who knows? But the thing is, I personally think he's done his stint at QPR in his mind. And he's done enough. And I think
if he left, I don't think any Rangers fan would.
And he head held high.
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely high. Which brings me on to the FA Cup.
At least we don't get knocked out by someone in the lower league below us.
Right, there's a few facts to think about this. I mean, I'm not going to do a Fraser and pull out a load of facts that are really stupid. Sorry, David. Brilliant, I mean. Absolutely inspiring. We've never won there. I've been there when we've been hammered. I was there when Nigel Clough scored the fastest hat-trick. I was there when Ordidis broke his leg. I think it was 5-2.
So when Cloughie started beating up the fans.
That was my second ever game in a
What
QPR
the hell
shirt.
did you make of that in the pitch? What was going on? Did you see Cloughie come on? Go on, tell me about it.
We were jogging off.
Right.
And he was in one of his stroppy moods, I think, and he collared two of the supporters that were running on and celebrating and clipped them around the ear, and then I think he apologised publicly the following day because he realised his actions. But that you're right, Ozzy fractured his leg that game.
The bad one as well, really bad one. But
the great thing about that game was that we got spanked 5-1 or 5-2.
5-2.
There's nothing in the paper the next day about us getting beat 5-2.
Yeah.
Also, if I remember rightly, their hot dog stand got burnt down as well. So seriously, they did. I think they.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
I think they literally took it too well done, meaning the wrong way. But I do remember the hot dog stand being. Anyway, something happened there. I don't think it was anything to do with football violence, just one of them things. But our record is shocking there. We've all agreed.
I think it's good though. It's good to have a cup game because maybe Hasselbank will try players and systems.
He's
out
called it
hasn't
unwelcome.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Maybe he'll try new things
You're
out.
a journalist.
And he'll.
What does unwelcome mean?
I don't know.
Does that mean like someone walking into your house and nicking your TV?
Yeah, maybe because he just wants to get a win on the board in the league. But at the same time, it might give him a chance to test out different formations and new players, and he might find something that he likes.
So you can go to
I guess, I mean, I'm assuming we hadn't seen Luongo on the field under him until this week because he hadn't seen him play. But he played in the reserve game last week, as did Diakité and as did
Diakité
and someone else Cherry.
Yeah.
And that's given the amount of games they've had to play in the last since he took over.
I'm a little bit surprised Luongo hasn't got back in the team. Fallen's been great, but he's bound to need a rest soon because he's been out for so long.
Could they play together? He got a rest against Huddersfield.
Yeah, I can't see why they can't play together.
So. He's got the legs anyway. We lack the legs in midfield. Ali hasn't got the legs, but he's got the ball skills. And
can you imagine me playing Diakité? Were you there when Diakité made his debut against Fulham? He called you Clive. There you go. I was talking about that earlier on. That'll teach me. Bradley. Next one is Martin. No, seriously, have you seen him play for us?
I have.
He's mad.
He got sent off after about 10 minutes.
The referee was literally going up to the bench and literally saying, "You've got to take him off. I'm going to have to send him." It was the most apologetic red card you will ever see in your life. He literally did it and went, "I have no choice." He run out of fingers to tell him how many fouls he made.
Diakité, we need players like him.
Is he still a QPR player?
Diakité?
No, the other one.
No.
Okay, so
he's gone to play with Bosingwa for
Turkey,
Subspor in Turkey.
All right, so back on the FA Cup. Right, do you know what my fear is? We go to Forest, and it's not a fear. I hope we hammer them and we do well. And then the manager's got a selection problem on his hands, isn't he? Because he's going to bring in the fringe players. Has that ever happened to you, where the manager's picked a weekend team for the FA Cup and you've actually done really well, and they think, or do you think that? And also, should you take the FA Cup seriously as a manager team? Should QPR be doing that?
I think it's a game to experiment. give the players that are sort of being considered the opportunity to start. Why not give them 90 minutes and see what happens? Because I don't think it would hurt QPR. There's enough within the squad to cope with the remaining fixtures between now and the end of the season. So it's a competition where you get through that game, you get a home draw, a favourable tie. Yeah, why not? You could get through a few rounds and be worth a few quid to the club.
And we've broke the hoodoo in the City Ground.
Hopefully no replay.
I think as well, Forest aren't going to be taking it. They're not looking at this as a glamour tie either. They're probably going to do the same as we are and kind of rest players and whatever. But I personally think if you're a Luongo or a Diakité, and this is your chance to kind of get into a struggle.
Who would you play it from?
Mackie.
Oh,
against his former club
with Jet.
It's good to see him back on.
I'd play Poulter. I think he needs games. He needs minutes. The more minutes he plays, and he's got 2 in 2. And he's
okay. So who would you play against Forest? Name your team quickly. All three.
I'd have Smithies in goal for the next league game, just quietly.
Right.
Centre halves, I'd probably go
Miller, Hall.
Yeah.
Konchesky left back.
I'd rest Konchesky, who's can we rest him?
No.
We haven't got who else?
Well, Clint Hill.
Ewan, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay.
Good play, Ewan.
Yeah, he's a good player. So all right, bring in Ewan, Hull. Have Hull.
I'd maybe give Furlong. He might give Furlong a run up right back.
Hull. You could. All right. You could play Hull, Hill, Young, then right back. You could experiment with Henry. Yeah.
I think he might play Furlong at right back.
Okay. Then we're going to midfield.
I'd have Luongo.
We haven't got enough. We
Luongo,
need to really
Cherry.
get some more.
I think he might give Diakité a run.
It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Eh?
He's playing reserve games, and I don't know. The fact he put him on the bench on Friday means he must be kind of.
I think he's a good player. He's just mad.
Yeah.
He reminds me of me with
He's worth going to the City Ground just to see Diakité play.
He's got energy. We missed that in midfield. Well, Sandro's never fit when he's playing.
All right, so you got Diakité. Right, starter, playing maybe the defensive midfielder type role. Then you got your two.
Luongo I'd play.
Right.
I've played 2 up front, maybe.
Yeah,
We're still midfield. Wait your turn.
Poulter.
Wait your turn. Right, so Luongo.
Phillips will probably play.
Yeah, Phillips and Hoylett probably
As
play.
your wingers.
Okay.
Maybe I remember Cherry didn't do anything wrong on Friday, but he'll play in that role. He'll play one up front and play maybe
Poulter
Cherry
and
behind.
Jet, perhaps up front.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Jet recently.
I like the idea of playing Mackie up front as well. I mean, Diakité and Mackie in the same side would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Seriously, it would. Listen, because we've got nothing to lose. It's just a shame that, your brother will tell you more than I would ever know how much the FA Cup final meant to him scoring that goal in the semi-final. I mean, I grew up dreaming of the FA Cup final and seeing QPR at Wembley. Maybe generations have changed it. It's just a shame now the clubs don't take it seriously, but maybe that's because I'm old.
So I've always had great respect for Martinez. When Wigan went down, but they won the FA Cup, and it was still. You can turn around and say, I played in the Premier League for 10 years and earned a fortune, but you haven't won nothing. At least those Wigan players can say, well, I won an FA Cup and beat the champions to win it.
But surely as well, it's going back to the FA Cup days. Was it? Be honest. Did they take it serious in the old days, or is this a new phenomenon that teams?
Oh, we did.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What's changed?
I think we got, was it quarter-final best?
Liverpool.
One year.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, did we get there with Man U as well?
Man U.
Yeah, that's right.
Lost at Old Trafford. Yeah.
Paul Ince didn't like that game. He got a wee bit. Did you hear that at the pitch, by the way? We didn't like him. Anyway,
It was about 20 minutes, wasn't it?
at least. And a lot, yeah, it was good. The Cockney Reds didn't like it on the train the way home either. But anyway, going back to that, yeah. So it seems to me sad that we don't take it serious anymore. I mean, do you think that's?
Well, like linking to what you said at the start, it's what's at stake to stay in the top flight, isn't it? That's why those 38 games are more important, especially to the foreign players, I think, rather than the the ones that have been at the club for a while. I think they understand it and they understand the support, but that's few and far between, unfortunately. And that's where generations have changed.
To ask a Wigan fan and a Portsmouth fan, would you have given what you're going through now for that day out at Wembley when you seen your team in the FA Cup?
I know you can't answer for your brother, but do you think that would be up there in his top 10 moments, that semi-final goal?
Oh, absolutely.
See? All the goals he scored.
I think if you look at the classic photos
of
him celebrating in front of the the North Bank at Highbury in front of the Arse supporters. You know, you see the emotion on his face because that was a tough game. That was a very good West Brom side.
Excellent.
They had some absolute brutes in that lineup, and it wasn't a memorable game by any means. But to win and get through that, you know, the supporters from that era, they'll never forget that. And it was just a pity that they couldn't roll over Spurs in the final, which is a shame.
That's my first real memory of being a QPR fan, that game.
Disappointment.
No,
Sorry, the semi.
The semi-final, yeah.
But I have to say,
I love Bob Hazel from that game.
But also, when you watch the old, obviously I watched it in Ireland, but when you watch the old videos of it in everything else and seeing the blue and white hoop tracks at tops and everything else, that's special. And maybe that's why our generation take it so much more seriously than others who just think, oh, well, it's a cup match, we'll try this, it doesn't really matter, it's not going to affect the season.
It doesn't help, our cup record has been so bad.
It's the worst in the country,
years.
apparently.
Yeah, it's pretty forgetful, isn't it?
You know?
There's no reason why we can't go on a cup run. I mean, you look at Hasselbank himself was playing for Cardiff 7 or 8 years ago, got to the final when they were in the Championship.
True.
And they were playing Portsmouth. It was really close. I think they lost 1-0. So you never know. We've got a season where we're not going to go up or down, so why not?
But I think if we were to have a cup run as well, say get to the 5th round, get a big team at home, how much it would lift the club. And I mean, just that.
Be like Bournemouth.
The days out at Wembley in the past have been kind of some of the greatest days in this club's history. Even the playoff final at Cardiff, although we lost, it was still an amazing day.
Well, I didn't enjoy 86.
Yeah, that was a bad day.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So, right, we're going to just go quick. Actually, that's brought up bad memories. It didn't exist, didn't happen. It ended at Anfield for me, that run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
2 own goals.
Wow, we won the cup. Anyway, Oxford just nicked it that era. I can't believe I even said the name. Transfer window, I know we discussed it earlier, but just quickly, what should we not do and what will we do?
We shouldn't buy anyone on big wages or just someone, we shouldn't buy people with the thought of going up to the Premier League. We should get maybe a couple of loans. If we are going to get players from big clubs, we should maybe get some loans in, clever loans. Hopefully Hasselbank can use some of his contacts. And if we can pluck a few lower league players who with a lot of promise, I'm sure they've got their scouting network, they've been looking at people, then that'd be great.
I'd love us to see us offload some players on deadline day. How many years have we been buying players and just bloating the squad? We never seem to sell anyone. For the first time in a long time, we got players been linked with other clubs. That hasn't happened for a while.
Well, that's an interesting point.
It hasn't, has it?
So do you think someone could take over a team in Raiders? Hope, isn't it?
Well, Austin's the obvious one that's probably going to go.
But what should we go loans then?
I think so. I don't think the club will buy.
It depends what you want, though, doesn't it?
I can't see that happening. I think that will be reviewed in the summer. And,
Yeah.
and I agree with yourself. I think it'll be loan signings that is more likely the avenue that they take.
Personally, I want to see everyone out on big wages who have been here and won't really add to it. Come in some younger players, what you just said, and patience, and we'll see how we develop over the season. But to me, it would be absolutely sheer madness and stupidity to add to a squad that already can't get offloaded, in my humble opinion. And by putting players in longer deals just because we feel we have to do that every transfer. Because every transfer window we buy squads. We don't just go to buy a player, we just go and buy a squad. And the other squad hasn't been sold yet. So we just mounting players. I mean, half of our players are probably in Westfield and Bluewater and Saturday afternoons rather than playing football. So it'd be nice to use common sense, just ride through this storm, bring in some loan players and just see what happens. And you know what? If you end up near enough the top of the league, isn't that a good thing? But it means you're not financially going to bankrupt yourself.
I mean, one thing I will say is that Hoylett would have been out the door on everyone, but everyone would have said get rid of Hoylett at the start of the year. But a bit of coaching, a bit of confidence building, a bit of working with training coach. He actually played very well the last 6-7 games.
Right.
You know, actually coaching players and saying, right, okay, you're playing for us, we're going to work with you and make you better players. We haven't done that for years. We've just, well, you're not good enough, we'll get rid of you, or we can't get rid of you, we'll just buy someone else to replace you. And the wage bill grows and the salary cap grows. And
the good thing is he started improving on the Warnock. Not that I'm saying Warnock should have got the job. I'm just saying
to be fair to Warnock, he did.
Yeah.
He did start him. I'm not a huge Warnock fan, but you know, you can't argue with that he put him in, but he also didn't play with any strikers at home. and everyone seems to forget that.
No, it seems to be
Can't do any wrong, but he plays no strikers.
We're trying a new philosophy of winning without strikers because we've got so many midfielders. It might catch on. Who knows? One thing I would like to talk to you, Bradley, about, if you don't mind, and well done for me for not calling you Clive, just a little pat in the back, is Don Howe and how much an influence he was at QPR. Obviously, sadly passed away at a terrible time before Christmas and that there, but he was amazing for QPR, what he'd done for our club.
He certainly was. I think the professionalism that he brought, the experience, his coaching expertise really shaped and developed a lot of the younger players that were there at that particular time, and he deserves enormous credit for that.
Do you think he got the credit he deserved at QPR?
Possibly not, because he came in at a difficult time, and although, you know, I might be biased, I thought Jerry Francis did a wonderful job. He sort of inherited some of the good foundations that Don had put in place, and players certainly benefited from, like you say, the coaching that Don gave on a daily basis. He was meticulous in his planning. He really used to work us very, very hard. I can't tell you how demanding he was. He was very intense, and you know, he'd had health problems even then. That he overcome, but he was always the very first, very last off the training pitch, and the example that he set wasn't lost on the players.
Proper old school.
He was, and we really respected him because we knew that we were working with someone that knew what they were talking about.
I love the photographs of him in the tracksuit tops with his cap on as well. Amazing, like proper manager, I would say.
I think what is forgotten, he's two of the finest players I've seen at QPR. He signed them. Roy Wegley and Clive Wilson were both Don Howe signings. And I think Trevor Francis, although it didn't work out as a manager, and you know, we could argue about what he did and what he should have done, but he made some fine signings as well in David Bardsley. I think he signed Ray Wilkins as well, I think, just on his way out. But, you know, and Jerry, although a fine manager, took that team on, and the foundations were put in, you know, largely by Francis and Don Howe.
But what I always remember him doing brilliantly was, I think he brought Les Ferdinand through.
Yeah, but just that side, I remember thinking we had a horrible run of injuries, and I think we had Barsley playing centre half and Gus Caesar playing centre half, and
you mentioned that word.
And then they brought in Peacock and Tilson.
Did you play with Gus?
Probably.
He played more games. How many games do you think he played for QPR?
I would say no more than half a dozen.
Well, that's too many, but that was quite.
But that's how desperate things were. But I do remember at the time there was never any animosity towards the manager, or that he was like, get him out. It was just kind of accepted.
He played at Wimbledon. We lost 4-0. I'm sure he played that day. He was dreadful. Anyway, yeah.
But can you imagine that happening now? The team not winning for 4 or 5 months, and the crowd still being accepting of what we are, and that's how football's changed.
Yeah.
But
there's no patience anymore.
More tolerant, wasn't it?
Well, do you know what? For just ending on Don Howe, our thoughts and sympathy to his family, obviously, but what a job he done for Rangers, and I would say that 90s team was built on his foundations. Now, we're going to just end the podcast, before we do ours end, on... It's the end of the year, so we've had relegation, we've had the championship, and the club, I don't know if you've seen this about the season tickets. It's a bit, I find it strange that the club, you've got to, which is fine, you've got to pay by March. That's the crack. But if you don't pay by March and renew, they think they put up 30%. That's what I'm understanding. So if you're in gold and you miss renewal, you look at 570 next season for the championship.
So it goes up from 30% to what it is now. Otherwise, it's frozen.
I'll give you an example. Bear with me. Where do you sit, Chris? You sit...
South Africa.
Do you?
Yeah.
How come I've never seen you?
Well, I haven't got a season ticket, but that's where I've been sitting.
Oh, okay. You should give us a ring. We should meet up and stand in the middle of the concourse with nowhere to go and just talk to each other like I do with everyone for about 25 minutes. Where do you sit, Ian?
Upper loft, I think it's...
Oh, so you're...
End block, I think.
Yeah.
NU.
All right, reading it like this. I'm in silver, but this is everyone always does the top end of these things. This is what they do in Watchdog, so that's what I'm going to do. If you've got a season ticket in gold now, you paid $519 in June. It's $535 for next season, so it's a slight increase, not major, but it's still an increase for the championship, which I still think were expensive anyway. Or $570 if you miss the renewal for championship football. QPR, rethink this. It's ridiculous. You can't pay that money in the Championship, in my humble opinion. Am I wrong?
Well,
I usually am.
It's hard to justify because we won 5 home games in 2015. So, and you're looking at the league table. Maybe if we're top, 5 points clear, we're going to be in the Premier League next season. You'd understand that, but they haven't come out and said why, have they?
No, it's a new idea.
In fairness to the club, they did reduce the prices quite dramatically when we dropped from the Premier League to the Championship.
They also hacked him up quite well as well when we went up.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm just saying my ticket was I think last year 700 something. This year it was 520. I think it was.
Still expensive for the Championship.
It's expensive.
And also, what we'd be charging away fans? Because we've got to think. I just think with.
Well, football across the board is expensive.
Yeah, but it's a Championship. We've got to remember where we are. We've got to stop this thinking we're something we're not. We're in the Championship. We're not playing very well, and I think the club need to extend it back to June and give people a year's warning to bring it in next season when people have got a season to think about it. I think to pay for 2 season tickets in one season, which will push you nearly over $1,000 in the Championship, is a lot of money.
But I'm guessing as well how they see it is that you've got 3 months to pay it now, whereas in the summer you've got 2 months, and if you're paying it.
Yeah, but you're paying it by March this year.
Yeah.
So you've got from December to March to pay that.
But you're going to be paying it in July anyway, so is it?
Well, I just think...
Is that a big... Is it?
It's still 2 season tickets in one season because season's obviously still going. I just think they need to rethink it, but rethink the prices more than anything else. I mean, if they can't do anything about the early bird, fair enough, but they can't seriously be thinking about charging $5.70 for season tickets in the Championship next season if that's where we're going to be, which is most likely. Or even worse. That would be. They just need to rethink it. In my humble opinion, I think they go back to drawing board Rangers and rethink it because brings me on to my next subject. The lower loft is half empty anyway. The atmosphere is not great. The atmosphere has been. I think it's ridiculous. You got like the school end, which is basically made up. My mate sat the other day, and there was a fella in front of him with an Arsenal hat on, which is fair enough, I guess. But don't bring your Arsenal hats to QPR. We're filling it up with this lower school end with just game. People who want to come for one game sometimes, which is fine, but it's not hardcore, and the lower loft is not hardcore either. So the only noise you're getting is from the away fans. It just seems to me the club need to rethink what we're going to put this family stand and get the atmosphere has not been the same, has it? Let's be honest with it, for a long time at Rangers. I don't know what's causing it, but I'm pretty sure a half-empty lower loft is never going to help anyone. So that's another debate. But rethink the season ticket prices. I think. Am I wrong? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, season tickets. Yeah, I mean it's a little bit steep with the atmosphere. I think they just need the team need to give the fans a little bit more excitement. I thought we played quite well against Brighton. The atmosphere was a lot better, and if you start playing more exciting football, loads of chances, pump the ball in the area, then fans will get behind the team.
Ian,
I agree. Yeah, the Brighton game was very good. The crowd were great against Brighton.
That's probably the best one for a long time.
Hasn't been the case for many games this season, but that was the crowd really got behind the team that night.
I know you can't get a season ticket, Bradley, for various reasons, but when you played there back in the day, it must be electric when it's buzzing. Surely there's a difference.
Under the lights, especially, and I think, like you say, I caught the back end of the Brighton game, and it reminded me a little bit of the old days. The last 20 minutes, the opportunities, goal scoring, goal scored, the crowd were up, and it's very intimidating, and that was sadly severely lacking in the whole fixture. But let's hope that this year there will be some improved performances that will lift the spirits of the supporters.
I think in fairness we don't lose many games at home under lights, especially the big games. I mean, even in the Premier League, like playing the likes of City, and that night against Liverpool we won 3-2. The crowd rises for those sort of games, which is why I didn't think for a minute we'd lose to Hull on Friday for that reason.
Which brings on to the next thing, and then we're going to have to wrap up. I know, sorry, engineer. Are we spoilt? A lot of people on Twitter saying we're spoilt. As fans, we've been spoilt over the last few years. Ian?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
In what way do you think?
Yeah, I would ask the same. In what way?
I just think...
Why have you been spoilt?
Well, that's what everyone's saying. We've been spoilt as supporters. I don't know. Are we overachieving? Is the money ruined? I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's a generation of supporters that have seen us just buy... When did we get taken over by Briatore? 2007, 2008?
Yeah.
So they've had kind of 7-8 years of money and throwing money at it, and some of us, everyone harks back to the buckets and chucking money in the buckets to buy Jamie Curt and that kind of thing. But I mean, the abuse that's thrown down at Poulter, that's one of our players. He's scoring goals, and it's unbelievable. Why would you do that to him? Why would you get on the back of one of your own players like he has? I mean, if he was, he's not Brett Angel, is he? He's not Charlie Austin, but he's not Brett Angel. He's scoring goals. He's got 2 and 2.
Yeah, I don't think.
Brad, you've played there. We talk about the atmosphere and that, but is it a tough place to play when the team isn't doing well? Because do you hear everything from the crowd? Cause
you do, because they're so close. I just think maybe the concept. I think you make a very good point. As there been a clear understanding, maybe the more recent. So I say the QPR supporter of the last 10 years, they think the club have been flush with cash. So the players that have been bought in or players within the squad should be giving them a certain return. So that's where the frustration lies. Those of a generation before that, they've got a better understanding because they've been on that journey and they know the difficult periods that the club's been through. And that's where you are, I think, as well, within the support. So you've got those on a poor performance that get terribly frustrated terribly quickly, and then those of an older generation who say, "Oh, hang on a minute, you've got to understand that this is the squad of players that the manager's inherited. He's trying his best. The players are maybe trying their best as well." So I think that's the situation that the club find themselves in, and you got to almost grow through that. And redevelop something new. I think you need something new, something fresh, something vibrant, which the current set will buy into again, and QPR returning to some of its principles.
I think as well. The abuse that Chris Ramsey was getting early in the season, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, but as I've said,
nothing like. There's always a scapegoat at Rangers. There's always someone to blame. There's always someone who's a bit of a boo boy. But and the Cole Henry as well. Booing a guy for crossing the ball that doesn't go into the box. It's I understand the frustration, but it's certainly, having been away for 10 years and come back, I've noticed there's a complete difference to what it was.
Yeah, you do get it's embarrassing. On social media, more and more people use it. Even Jim Hasselbank on Instagram is posting photos of him and his family. There's people underneath going, "Get back on a training ground. What are you doing?" Yeah. And you don't want to see that, but yeah, in that way, I think fans are sport, but also you have to be a bit considerate to the fans because they've gone up to the Premier League and the club have got it so wrong. You look at like what Watford have done this season. Even Bournemouth look like they might stay up because they've pulled out a few great results. And then you look at what QPR have done when they've been in the Premier League, and they've just got it so wrong compared to those clubs.
That's a good point, actually, because I think that we were the original Wimbledon many, many years ago. But you would know this better than me, and you'd be gone since you were a child. I just came over in a boat and started going.
Well, I recently covered a game at Vicarage Road with my media work, and when they played Spurs, and the atmosphere was like unbelievable. We've got the new stand there, and they were really acting as the 12th man, and Spurs scored a late goal. They were rather fortunate to get the result. But I think they've given themselves every chance. And I go back to my time, and that's how Loftus Road was. Teams did not like going to Loftus Road to play.
Alex Ferguson mentioned it.
Because the crowd played such a major part.
It's funny with Watford, because the way they've done it is hardly textbook, but they're actually doing quite well.
The family, Pozzo family, that own Watford also own Genoa and a team in Italy. I can't remember which one. And they've all established in the top flight. They've got a really big scouting network, share players. And some people don't like it, but yeah, they've just...
Didn't they sack the manager that got them promoted?
Yeah, I think he wanted a bit too much money. He's now gone to Fulham, Djukanovic. Yeah.
I suppose for every Watford there's a Charlton. So, do you know what I mean? This is where football is these days. And
even Fulham, you look at them, they shouldn't be where they are, really.
It's kind of nice, though.
It is kind of nice.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we don't want them getting above themselves. We always give them 3 easy points. I mean, why shouldn't they suffer for the rest of the season? Reg, you're ours end of the show. By the way, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. My Hours End is hopefully a good performance on Saturday in the FA Cup. I think the FA released a video today of a promotion video for the FA Cup, and part of it was showing Sheffield United beating us 3-0. So it's like, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah,
I did see that on Friday, actually. Yeah.
So yeah,
This is a brilliant we play a role in the FA Cup.
a bit of improvement would be good on Saturday.
Yeah, are you going Saturday?
I'm not. No, I'm working Saturday and Sunday, so I can't.
You did a day job.
Yeah.
Of course, because you've. Oh, you don't.
For ITV, just doing just one weekend every month. I'm working both days.
I'm going there, but I don't work for ITV.
I have a rare Saturday when Rangers aren't at home off, so it's my first away game of the season, so I'm going in blind faith to see history being made.
Yeah, and I'm taking you. Good luck with that. My driving's awful. Where are you going Saturday, Bradley?
I'll be at Arsenal Saturday. So that should be a gimme, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Who are they playing?
What scene they select? They're playing Sunderland.
Oh, okay. So what we all do for Friday then? Sorry, I obviously will win.
Talking of blind optimism, my wife was trying to book a summer holiday yesterday. She wanted to book it for the weekend of the playoff final, and I said she couldn't, just in case.
Bless you, Ian. Bless you.
Bless you.
It's terrible when you're in the UK watching Brentford on Sky.
That's a true Ars supporter, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So you've done yours end.
I have.
God, Fraser's going to sack me after this. Ian, have you got an hour's end of the show? Does it involve your wife trying to have a nice holiday and you ruin it for her?
No, much of what I said, just up to Forest, hoping for see history made and a few changes and hopefully a win.
Okay. Bradley, have you got anything you'd like to say to QPR fans before you go?
Get through a couple of the FA Cup ties if possible, and I think there'll be a Championship side next season. I don't fear that they'll be nervously looking over their shoulder, and I think the real test, the judgment should lie when the summer months come. Who's brought into the club, and hopefully the manager will be fully supported there, because then there can be some fresh optimism for the new season.
Well, my hours end of the show is just a very basic one. I'd just like to thank Steve Gallen for everything he's done for QPR over 18 years, and hopefully we'll see him back there one day in some role. This has been Open All Hours. Thank you, Bradley Allen. And and you did well for QPR. You have my permission to feel you're going to get a thank you. Thank you for what you've done for Rangers.
My pleasure, thanks.
Not just from me, but I don't speak to the fans, but you're part of that great side. And thanks for all the dreams and wonderfulness we had on that team. It was great. And what you said about Don Howe was brilliant. Thank you. Ian McCullough, thank you for popping in. And I look forward to Saturday with you. It should be interesting. You're not squeamish about driving, are you?
No.
Excellent, because I'm a van driver. It'll be fun. About 3 miles an hour. And thank you, as always, Mr. Mendes. Beautifully groomed for the podcast, as always.
Thank you, Mr. Finney.
You're all right. We might start doing one on video one day. When we, put it in front of your kids, you want to scare them. It's an idea.
It's the future, video.
But thank you for everyone who listened to us last year, who will listen to us this year. Without you, this podcast wouldn't exist. Please tune in again next week when hopefully we can make history at the City Ground. Goodbye. By the way, this is a song by Emily Capell, QPR season ticket holder. It's called The Strut. Please support her at Camden when she plays. Thank you.
I'm not a lover, shaking my hips. I can't get too low when I do the dip. But I've fallen hard for this new dance going around. It's called The Strut, man, and it goes like this. I'm not a lady who can bust out the rumba, or any chica who can cha-cha the salsa, but I just cannot get enough for this new dance for the crowd. It's called The Strut, man, and it goes like this. Now everybody will put their hands on their hips, and everybody would twist their feet like this, and we would just get on up and do it till you had enough. Do the strut, yeah, I think you're getting it. Do the strut, 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 do the strut. Now I see some girls, they get caught staggering. I find that movement to be pretty staggering. But there ain't no sluts trying to do the strut. No, they try, but they haven't got it. No, 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 oh, no, no, no. And there ain't no need for you to feel embarrassed. I hear they're doing it down in Buckingham Palace, so why not prove it to yourself? Take your shoes off the shelf, do the strut, yeah, I know you can't resist. Rhythm does to your feet, so why not get on up and baby try the strut, yeah, do it with the 3-piece suite. Do the strut, 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 do the strut.
Hi Emily, welcome to the podcast. Can you tell us how you got into Queen's Park Rangers, please, and the connection?
How I got into QPR? My family's got QPR, so that's how I got into QPR. And also we live in West London, and so that's how that happened. And so I was a junior from like 5 upwards, and then I had a membership, and then I had a season ticket.
Oh, so you've gone the whole way then. You've gone through the system like a prodigal child to a super fan.
Yeah, that's me, a super fan.
It's been great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go Saturday?
Yeah, I did go on Saturday, yeah. It wasn't the best game we've ever played.
No.
It was alright, it was good. It's good fun to sit in the JU block regardless of what the score is.
You know, people are talking about relegation. Do you think we'll get relegated?
Maybe we will.
Are you there for how long at Dublin Castle, and what time and what day?
I am here at the Dublin Castle now. I'm sat outside. I am here every Monday, but we're starting some Fridays. So hopefully we'll be Friday soon.
Ooh.
And we go on stage at 9 o'clock. And we are here until the foreseeable future. So yeah.
Brilliant. And will you come into the podcast one day and do a QPR song for us, please?
Of course.
Excellent.
Oh my God, of course. What rhymes with podcast? And I'll crack on.
Well, you know, you could just sing about anything. You can sing about the glory days of this season. Hey, that's a good one. Sing about all the good games this season. There's a challenge.
I know. I think I'm going to do a song about how much I love Flint Hill.
That'll do. That will do.
I love him.
That'll do. Brilliant. Emily, thank you so much. Best of luck with the music and the time at Dublin Castle, and really look forward to seeing you in the podcast ASAP.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
The QPR podcast is a West 12 Media and Burble Media production. The QPR podcast is sponsored by Florally Yours, based outside Harrow-on-the-Hill train station and run by Kerry, a QPR fan. They can supply everything you need in the way of fresh flowers and plants for every occasion.
QPR, Queen's Park Rangers are on the